are going to experiment and learn a little more about the UX4G design system, which is from the government of India. I actually came across this post from Twitter. Scrolling through Twitter, I came across a tweet from India in Pixels, and it was really interesting because yes, I've seen the design systems that are part of the Swiss government and all the other government entities publishing their own design systems, and how the Dutch website, for example, and the Dutch newspapers and the currency notes have their own design system and pattern. So I was interested in looking at this. I did write an article earlier today just around the same, and with resources about how this UX4G initiative, which essentially means UX for government, that's what I assume it to mean, or user experience for government. That's the gist of it, and it has a lot of design systems both on the implementation side for developers, as well as for designers who want to tweak around and use the components and elements within their Figma design, and so on and so forth. So that's what we are trying to look at and experiment with. So the article I've written essentially covers all the details that we are looking at. It talks about firstly what UX4G essentially is, what this initiative talks about and does as an entity, where you can find it. It's essentially on this website called UX for Government. It's part of the Ministry of Information and Technology, which has come up with the same and is essentially responsible for managing the whole program here. Now this website essentially lists down all the details for you to look at. Let me zoom in a little bit, and things that you can download, a long brochure and details around the brochure itself. There is the design system and design handbook document that they have provided, along with a GitHub repository as well as specific documentation around the same. Now this is part of multiple products and initiatives that the government is taking, which includes apps like Meri Pehchan, Poshan Tracker, as well as API Setu, which is another interesting project I've been looking at, which essentially is a public Swagger or open API spec of multiple departments and their specific documentation around the APIs that are available for you to query for data, which is another program that I want to look at and see what can be built out of that information and that data. But in general, this is the UX4G website with details around the system. Now the design system itself has an overview. We can look at that with the purpose and how it is designed for developers, and the documentation that I have been talking about, as well as the Figma design kit that's also available for us. So this essentially takes you to the Figma page that they have, which you can open in Figma specifically. Let's try doing that, and from there we can have the ability to then look and take use these or clone these within our own workspace of Figma and then use it accordingly. So that what is the Figma side of things, as well as the Docker and the GitHub side of things look like. Let me try, and while the Figma loads, I can also walk you through how you can get started with UX4G and essentially build projects out of it. What we'll try and do for now is just cover a brief overview of the elements and how they look like. So let's go to the component section and look at how certain components look like. Just from a quick look, it looks like it's similar to how a Bootstrap or a Tailwind framework looks like. I think a lot of the uncovering of the internals of this led to some Bootstrap specific CSS components being used, as well as things that are specifically design oriented that we see in other governments. So this is how the pagination component looks like. There are components essentially also for alerts, batches, even for buttons, for example. This is how that would look like when it comes to the different looks and feels. So you can but use this following CSS and HTML as part of your website and then build the same. What I want to do is probably use all of this design system and use cursor, for example, to build a new project with elements of this design system and build something simple for this session and go from there. So what I'll do, I'll bring up cursor on my screen and we can start a new project there and build out something from scratch. So I'll go to the agent mode here, create a new chat, and I'll bring up Super Whisper, which is my tool of preference for dictation right now, where I get additional details around where I can just text to speech, right? And it's a better dictation than your native macOS or any Windows and other sort of dictation tools. I've been looking at Whisper is one of them. Then you also have Super Whisper, which I'm currently using. There's Willow Voice, there's also Aqua. So there are multiple players in the segment of this in general. But yeah, here's a quick look at Super Whisper, for example, which I'll use to prompt and create prompts for cursor, which is a game changer essentially and allows you to do a lot of things a lot more quickly than having to type everything at once. So let's just come up with ideas on what we want to do first. Let me write those down. I'll zoom in a little bit. So let's look at ideas to build. One thing that I was thinking of primarily to start off with, I've been building this project called Patent Pilot behind the scenes, and it essentially is a website where you can go provide an idea or an invention that you're thinking of or something that you want to build and transform and get suggestions on how a specific idea that's just on paper and just in your head, and how do you transform that and conceptualize that towards a unique USP that you have, which allows you to then patent or specifically start out by owning that invention or creating that invention for yourself. This is based on the information and the stats that I have been looking around how patents filing has improved and the process has improved. Now there are still things to do there that we can improve, but over and all there have been significant improvements around the patent filing, examination and the granting system as a whole. And this essentially serves as a place where if you are an individual, have an invention and have an idea and want to essentially validate what's the patentability of my specific idea, it gives you suggestions of that. You also have, and if you have an idea in mind and want to see how as an individual or even as a corporate or an enterprise, how would the fees of filing a patent and that would look like. So you have a dedicated section where you can play around with scenarios of what type of entity, if you are a person or a startup or a small entity, or you are a large entity. Based on that, there are changes to the fee structure of filing the patent and examination and then granting of it, along with other details around section 54, along with biodiversity and any specific category of patent that you're trying to file, along with the number of claims within the patent as well as the number of pages of the patent. So generally a patent file is usually a 30 page file that you can create, and every page from their point on has its own charges that would require the patent filing office and then the Indian Patent Office to then look at details and add additional costs for the examination and the granting of it. So that's generally how the patent fees are calculated. And I've also added some optimization steps as well as additional services that you want. If you want to fast track your patent filing process, that's also an option. And generally just if you are in the process of filing, this becomes like a companion which would help you analyze the ideal cost of filing a patent and how that looks like, and then there are fees associated to renewals and things like that, which you can also do and sort of look at the numbers and how that would affect your overall cost of managing and filing a patent. There are additionally simple scenarios that I've also written down and put here, which you can look at. So if you have a patent of a 25 page and you are a individual inventor of a simple patent and would like examination and the number of claims, you can apply this scenario, which in here also gives you an overview, and once you apply the scenario, you see and look at the specific fields that have been selected to come to this amount. Similarly, software patent for the lead publication, you are a startup, the number of pages are a little high on the higher side, which leads to a distribution between the application, examination, and publication fees with a total of such. Similarly, for a biotech or a research institution and things like that, there are additional scenarios along with cost optimization strategies. So this is something I've been working on overall for some time, but is also something I wanted to transform and see if UX4G design system can be implemented. Now this is a project that I've been building with React and Tailwind and all of that. So I'm not sure if how, as part of this live stream, how quickly we can transform to that. But beyond that, let's try asking ChatGPT, for example, for ideas and see where that takes us. So let me open up ChatGPT and we can go from there. Chat.com. Let me once slow it and we'll go back to the same screen. Alright, so we are at ChatGPT. Now let me also demo how you can use Super Whisper and tools like Whisper Flow in essentially to dictate your idea and the prompt that you want to provide instead of spending a lot of time to just transcribe or write it down. So I'll start Super Whisper. Hi, I am currently looking at UX4G, which is actually a design system published by the government of India in order to work on projects and have the same system design and same principles of design elements and components followed across different initiatives between the government and for projects essentially. So I want to use this system, which is UX4G and its design system based on the documentation, the GitHub repository, as well as the Figma document and the diagrams there. Leveraging that, I want to get started with building a project, a simple enough project that will be helpful for me, which for example can be a simple blog suggester or things and initiatives that I track across multiple government websites. So I want to build a project where I go through and crawl through multiple government websites of India, essentially look through all the websites and crawl their pages and publications and find out what's the latest published article or news or press release that has happened across these initiatives, and use the UX4G design system to build a website which helps me categorize the latest information by date, by department, the website, and the latest updates that have been noticed as like a timeline activity, which I can then use essentially to as my way of keeping myself updated with the latest announcements and published material from the government of India, instead of having to go through and look at every website each day. So this is my project that I want to build using the UX4G system. Could you please help me with the same? So now that's my prompt, and I've asked now Super Whisper will try to transcribe all of this information, as you can see. And once this prompt is ready, I can then paste it into Cursor, ChatGPT, or any other vibe coding platform of preference, and then build something out of it. So as you can see, the prompt is ready. I can just click tab for my Grammarly to fix any grammar mistakes, and it has actually just transcribed the whole thing I wanted. And now I can let ChatGPT and Cursor do its trick in the agent mode using automatic code platform and LLM of its preference. I can also switch to others, but I think I'll let it handle on its own. I think ChatGPT 5 is available, so maybe we could try that. I think the context window is high enough, not as great as the Gemini models. I don't see Gemini here. But yeah, let's try with ChatGPT and how that does, and see what it comes up with. So let's start it. Okay, I don't know how much it will cost me, but let's go for it. Even though, let's send it. because I want to try this out with ChatGPT exclusively based on the demos we have seen around ChatGPT and how good it is with coding and overall, and see where that goes. Yeah, so it's planning, it's creating a plan for me, it's searching the design system, it's searching the GitHub repository and the Figma library. That's good. Okay, perfect. Now a lot of it will be us waiting for it to make it work and go from there, but let's see what it comes up with. Meanwhile, some music wouldn't hurt really. Okay, looks like it's started with making a lot of progress. And let's look through. Okay, it's creating a lot of to-do items as well, and it's asking me to create a project under home with a scaffold of Next.js, TypeScript. Let me allow it to run it. So it's creating a folder on the home directory, which is fine, we can move it later. I want it to also be git based, so maybe I'll ask it about it. Let's tell it create the project and the GitHub. Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, it wants to start. I'll check node.pm and then scaffoldings. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I do have node and npm installed, so that should be fine. And now it's trying to use npx to create a latest project and all of that. Okay, that's fine also. I've not put a lot of these commands, as some of them are part of my allow list within the cursor rules, but a lot of it is not. So we can test that out. I think let's also update our cursor. It's trying to do something in the terminal. That's fine. So our idea essentially is to build something UX4G design system to build and had the ability for us to then create a site which crawls through all websites and creates a history and timeline of the latest content released and added to stay up to date. Yeah, so that's what we are building. Now let's see how long it takes us to get there. Let me also open this thing in terminal. don't know what's going on. What is it trying to do here? I don't see any logs. Can I skip it? Continue with plan by first creating a folder. Or I can do it for it. I think that's probably easier. Okay, it got it. It did build the folder. That's fine. I like that it does a cat so that the terminal can print. Well, we don't really have anything in the folder. Let's just open that folder. Okay, it does have some content. I wanted to save. Oh, hopefully I don't lose the chat. I don't want to lose the chat. First chat. Shit. Did I lose my chat? Shit. Okay, let's I do have the prompt, so I can restart it. That's the other way. That's strange. But yeah, I think the context should be there because now I'm actually in the folder and it's doing the to-do list again. It's searching the design system now. That's good. Okay, it's planning. It's finding out if there are any RSS feeds of these websites to start tracking them. That's also great. It's using Next.js again. That's fine by me. It's easier to deploy on Vercel. Searching for packages, searching for RSS feeds. That's good. Yeah, I really like all of this from Cursor in terms of the to-do list it can create, the plans that it is generating here, and how quick it is, at least by looking at it. I really need a website suggest which seems to return a list of them, but I'm not entirely sure. They're also okay. It's trying to figure out a few things. Let it run. It's trying to install an RSS parser, which makes sense, but I'm not really sure how updated those parsers and RSS links of these websites will be. So maybe it's trying to do the RSS route, but I think maybe we'll have to suggest it to also start just scrolling through websites using a bot or a crawler. Hmm. Why does the CD and okay, NPM is taking longer? Shouldn't really. But this is what we're building. Plan. Okay. Okay, NPM is taking longer than what I want, so maybe let's kill it. Okay, it did. It's finished. Okay, it's planning next moves, which is good. I need to focus on helping build the dev tool workflow, such as using to-dos, blah blah blah. I link to okay, however, I must verify if it's CD and CSS. Ah, I get it. Okay, let's also read through what the okay, this is the template Next.js. Okay, which is fine. Let's come back to our slide for now. It's trying to go through the to-dos. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Let's verify those links of RSS feeds, which if it doesn't work, it's still fine, because the main goal here is to see how the UX4G system looks like, which we can take a look at while all of this goes on. Let me open Chrome. No, looks like we have the notification. What did you find from this? Okay, try to make a call. It did give a 200. Implement the RSS aggregator, which is fine. It's then trying to call the URL and seeing what results we get, which makes sense. Wow, this is a lot of work that I don't really have to worry about. It does the whole thing for me. But if I go back, UX4G charts, they also have chart libraries. That's interesting. LinePy, okay, this is good. But do they have, these are all their accessibility, do they have like a CSS feed or CDN that I can just call? Getting started, let's read through this while, oh yeah, it does CDN links. Wow, this is great. This is great. A lot of work went into it, I can already tell. They also have like the accessibility thing. I did cover that in my LinkedIn article. Let me bring it up. How do I, let me find that. Let's see if I can bring that back up. Give me a second here. Okay, so we do have the article now. Let me switch. It's just loading. So the piece I was talking about was around the accessibility widget. So there is definitely work that went into the design system and all the overall components of it, which includes accessibility options where you can test around, which I was doing. So if I go back to the UX4G, this is the document, but I can control F2 and look at the accessibility options, which allow me to do all of the light and dark modes. I can do a text to speech. I can hide images if I want. I can make the text bigger, improve and increase the spacing, saturation changes that I want. Wow, this is interesting. So they do have a lot of work taken and things around things like ADHD mode. I don't know how much of this is native work that they have done or things that were part of some another package or another open source project maybe that they leverage. But I have a lot of options to play around with and look at the accessibility of it. And it's also dyslexic friendly. Wow, this is interesting. But yeah, I have covered all of these details around the design system and how it works and things that offer with direct links to these sections. You have the UX4G website along with the design system intro, the design guideline document, the accessibility option I just showed, along with they also host upcoming events and I think the next ones are in Shimla in October and one in MP, for example. So there is definitely a push within the system internally for people to adopt and start adopting the system, which is around sensitization workshop on user experience and design system and how this works. There are other events that are scheduled to also be happening in Dehradun, Chandigarh, Nainital, Agartala as well. Things, some of which are already planned in the October to end of year time frame. So yeah, there are also upcoming events. You can also actually support and provide your feedback to them by mailing it to this specific email address, support.ux4g, and they probably will reach out. I have not done that so far. And the GitHub repository that I have been talking about. Now there have been internal initiatives I know around such programs to participate and use specific elements and design systems as part of hackathons and things like that. But yeah, this is the GitHub copy version of all of that, which essentially hosts the documentation and things that are there. But yeah, meanwhile let's come back to cursor and see how it is doing. Oh, I needed to give it some. Okay, so it's trying to run and execute curl commands against these RSS feeds of specific websites and see what we get out of it. Let's just run it and see where that gets us. Okay, it is a 418, a 404, which is not good. Even a 401. Okay, yeah, I'm not really sure how easy it would be for us to just query and crawl through such websites. Okay, now that's done. It's looking for the next moves. Work on helping blah blah blah, integrating, yes, investigating endpoint. I know the RPI response gave me. Okay, so it's trying some more URLs. Let's allow it to run it and see where that goes. Okay, one of them did work. I think it did give me a response, which is good.